Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brody Consulting Group. To get more information about our coaching, publishing, executive ghostwriting, and podcast production services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brody, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. Today, we're being joined by Revital, Shiri-Horowitz, author of It's Just Your Imagination, Growing Up with Narcissistic Mothers. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks for hosting me.
Are you ready to get started?
Yeah, of course.
All right. Question number 1. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
You should have a very good plot and a fantastic editor. An editor is, in my opinion, the most important role in the work of publishing your book. So please invest time in finding somebody good and edit your book properly.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. It makes such a difference to have a great editor to make sure you have a well-edited book prior to it going out.
Right.
What do you feel is the hardest part about getting published?
Getting to people who will take your book and publish it. That's the problem. I think that we have more self-publishers now, which is so much easier. And on one side, it's comfortable, convenient, but on the other hand, it's really hard to do PR, to get to readers. And sometimes you don't know if a book that's available on Amazon got a good editing also. Mm-hmm. So some books are being published on Amazon as for self-publishers, but the quality of the books are not very good. So I think it's really hard to find the right place to publish your book if you go on the traditional side. And on the other hand, if you do self-publishing, you really need to make sure your book is really written well, edited, and find somebody to do PR for you if you can. If you cannot afford just, do here and there, and you get and go to bookstores and tell your story there. Maybe you'll be able to sell better.
And for your book, was it traditionally published, or did you publish it yourself?
This is actually my third book. I wrote 3 books. My first book was about Jews who lived in Iraq and immigrated to Israel after 1948, after Israel was established. And it is based on my family story, and it's women's stories. Actually, there are no Jews left in Iraq. And it used to be one of the biggest communities in the world for Jews. My second book speaks about immigrants, always divided between 2 homelands, and it's also a women's story who tells the story of perception that is different between 2 women writing each other letters and their history together and apart. And my third book is telling my own story. It's a memoir self-help book that speaks about daughters of narcissistic mothers and gives some tools, how to evaluate, how to understand, and how to heal from growing up with a narcissistic mother.
And then were these
I hope that helps.
Yeah, were these books traditionally published, or did you self-publish the 3 books?
So I published them in Israel, in a regular system, the traditional system, but outside Israel, I published them alone as a self-publisher, and I even won a prize for that. In Israel, I won a prize too, but I won a prize for my recent book. But yeah, it's hard to get to readers. That's the hardest thing for me, since I know all the process of publishing and editing and writing an excellent book. For me to have a good PR system, that's the big catch.
Well, and that's going to translate nicely into our next question to transition into that. And that is to please share a marketing strategy that you have used in your book launch that worked well.
I started advertising early, as early as I could. I sent invitations. I used Facebook to attract readers. I used quotes from my book. I used my book cover picture. I asked my friends to share what they got from me. And I'm actually now with my third book starting to give some lectures in stores around Seattle, which is awesome way to get to more readers. And I'm doing lots of podcasts, which is awesome. What else? I think more or less that's it.
Well, those are great strategies, not only utilizing social media, but also local bookstores and podcasts. It's such a great idea.
Thank you.
Well, let's talk about your favorite book. So, what is your favorite book, and what was the number one thing that you learned from it?
My favorite book, actually, there are so many of them, but I really like. Okay, so my favorite book, actually, you can call it my Bible, is the book that brought knowledge to me about the fact that I grew up with a narcissistic mother, and in a way it saved my life. It's called It's Just Your Imagination. No, sorry, that's my book. It's called Will I Ever Be Good Enough? And it was written by Karen McBride. She is a therapist and a PhD psychologist who wrote a book about the types of narcissism, the types of the daughters who are narcissistic. She actually wrote my life story in her book in a way, and that really inspired me. And this book really became my Bible since I read it so many times. And while I was healing myself, and I highly recommend this book to others, other women who are, or men even, who are suspecting narcissism in their families. So many families are damaged by narcissism, and there isn't enough actually knowledge around there of what it feels, how it is run in families, generation after generation, and what are the ways to break those chains and change your life. So that book really inspired me, and I really recommend it.
And for a final question, what is your favorite quote and why?
My favorite quote. I didn't think about this one, actually. Never give up, I think. I don't know. Never give up. Whatever happens, there is always tomorrow. And tomorrow is just another day. And live your life. Do whatever you can to make them good and healthy and joyful. Do not let people from your past drag you. Do not live in your past. Live the present and the future. Even if it means that you have to say goodbye to some of them who are close to you. Sometimes you need to do it for your own soul and save yourself.
Well, and those are great words to live by on that for sure. Well, I want to thank you for being a guest on the show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
You can look up my name, Revital Shiri-Horowitz. I'm on Amazon. Actually, I have a very good website. It's www.revital, REVITAL-SH.com. And you can find me there or Facebook or everywhere, and I connect with my readers all the time, and I'm happy to hear from you.
Well, Revital, I want to thank you once again for being on the show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey ahead.
Thank you, Paul. Good luck to you, too.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how you can be featured in our brand new Get Published business book, go to getpublishedpodcast.com.